Raising teenagers is hard. Understatement of the century. This is Mentor Select. Mentor Select. Parenting teens to be successful adults. Mentor Select serves parents who are raising teens. Every week, Derek interviews leading experts that work with teens, educators, counselors, mentors, and authors to give you practical tips, strategies, and resources that you can incorporate immediately to better connect and understand your teen. All while parenting them to be successful adults, focusing on social and emotional development, something that's left out of the classroom, but not in ours. Be sure to subscribe, share, and rate. This is Mentor Select, and this is your host, Derek Phillips.
Parents, you're in for a great treat today. We have Willie A. Price joining us today. He is the founder of Willie A. Price Speaks. How are you, Willie?
How are you? Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. We were able to finally catch up. I know you're a busy man. You're out there changing the world, changing lives. So I'm excited to hear about everything you have going on.
Yes.
So where are you joining us from today, Willie?
The Niagara Falls, Buffalo, New York area.
Cool. Did you grow up in New York?
I grew up in Buffalo, New York, and moved to Niagara Falls a few years ago. So that's why I say Buffalo, Niagara Falls area, so people know both of them.
Okay. So what's the distance between the two?
About 20 miles.
About 20 miles. Okay. Awesome.
No, not far at all. And from my window, I can look out and see Niagara Falls, Canada.
Oh, wow. Nice.
That's how close I am.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't been to Niagara Falls yet. But
you have to get up here, my man.
I know it's beautiful.
Definitely.
I know someone there now, so I got even more of a reason.
Here you go. I'll make sure you have a good time.
Fantastic. Well, Willie, I know that you're doing a lot of work working with the youth, especially our young men and boys. I guess can you just give an overview about your company? Like what all does Willie A. Price Speaks do?
Okay, Willie A. Price Speaks, believe it or not, actually started out as a real estate investing and property management training company.
Okay.
I started out as a young kid looking to do something, from washing cars, selling fruit at a fruit stand, things like that. Didn't have a father in the house at the time. Eventually, my stepfather came into the house and he saw me doing these things, and he and I didn't get along because, of course, I'm like 7, 8, 9 years old by this time. Okay. He comes in, he's trying to be the man of the house, and who do you think was the man of the house?
Right, you already got that position on lock.
so we bumped heads as soon as that first time I said, "You ain't my daddy."
Oh yeah,
came out my mouth, and which is what a lot of our young people, our young men do because we feel threatened.
Been there.
But he noticed that during that time, I was always out selling fruit, selling newspaper, always hustling, trying to make some money.
Entrepreneur at a young age.
all kind of things, exactly. And so one day, like I said, we didn't really get along that well, but one day he made me get in the car with him.
Okay.
He said, "Come on, I want you to get in the car. I want to take you for a ride." No, I don't want to get in the car. He made me get in the car. He drove, went to this house. He came out and he's counting his money. He put on the arm of the chair. Now I'm looking. He drives to the next house. He comes out and he's counting his money. He puts it on the arm of the chair. So now I'm looking at this money. Every time he stops at a house, he's putting this stack of money.
It's growing, the stack.
Right. And of course, 9, 10 years old, I'm like, "Yo, what you doing?" So he got my attention. I said, "Where are you getting all this money from?" He said, "Well, you see those houses, I buy them at auction, I fix them up, and people pay me to live in them."
Ah. Okay.
He became my best friend.
He won you over at that point.
He had something I wanted.
Right.
And so what happened was he taught me and showed me what he did and everything, man. But like I said, it created a bond with us.
Okay.
And he died a year before I bought my first house.
Oh, man.
I ended up buying 20 houses in the city of Buffalo.
Okay.
And that's how I got into real estate.
Wow.
And started doing real estate. And of course, I'm the kind of person that, I like making money. So I wasn't trying to pay anybody to do the things that needed to be done. I ended up going back to school, learning electrical, learning carpentry, plumbing, everything I could do that I could fix up a house on my own.
Right.
Got from there, people started calling me, asking me, hey, I know you know all this about houses. Can you come and look at a house I'm about to buy? Hey, there's got to be a way I can make money doing that too.
Right.
Went to school to become a home inspector.
Okay.
Started doing home inspections, got registered as a registered apartment manager because I had properties. And people said, well, I don't want to pay you to manage, but can you teach me? So I started teaching people how to manage their properties, how to screen tenants, all those things. And I wanted to write a book about it.
Okay.
And didn't know how to get it started, was real excited about trying to do it. Couldn't figure it out. Went to a conference, met Les Brown. Les Brown
changer.
and I became very good friends.
Yeah.
And Les said to me, so Willie, what do you plan on doing? I said, well, I want to write a book about real estate. He said, well, what's stopping you? I said, I just can't get it started. He said, well, what do you like writing about? I said, well, I like writing about Black history. I do an article for the paper back home, and I really like doing that because it helps kids to understand that Black history is every day and not just in the month of February. He said, well, why don't you write a book about that? And I ended up writing my first Black history book that next year, giving him a copy of it. I've actually written 4 editions of that Black history book.
Okay.
And I followed that up with 9 real estate books.
Wow.
Yeah. So got into the real estate, doing, like I said, the Black history presentations. And I went back to my old high school just to visit, and I was substitute teaching, just helping out with kids and everything. Because like I said, I wanted to stay involved with young people. And I noticed when I went during Black History Month, they were talking about the same people that they were talking about when I was in school. So I'm like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? I'm like, 20 years later, y'all still talking about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman. And I said to our young people, that's why they don't get excited. They're hearing about the same people that we heard about, and all those people are dead. So when you hear about Black history, you think about they talk about slavery and dead people. What's there to get excited about?
Yeah.
So I started promoting the Black history books, started working with kids, and ended up a couple of years later, fell 25 feet from the top of a roof.
Oh, man.
Shattered my left ankle, broke all the bones in my right foot. They told me I should be dead, totally paralyzed. I will never walk again.
Wow.
But I remembered something my grandmother used to always say to me, you can do anything that you set your mind to. And she used to always say that to me because, like my stepfather saw, anytime I wanted something or I wanted to do something, I found a way to do it, how to achieve it. 3 months later, I walked into the doctor's office. 3 months after that, I ran my first mile. Wow. But in the interim of that, I just started thinking about real estate wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. Sold all my properties and devoted my life to just started working, going into the schools, working with young people. I was working with boys and girls, and I still do. But I started to notice that young men were the ones that were having the biggest issue. Right. Everywhere you look, you start to see women power, Black woman rock, Black girls rock. You know, everything.
Girl power. But yeah,
exactly.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our young men are sitting there like, hey, what about me?
What about, yeah.
Exactly. And so I created this program from Boys to Men because everybody had a Boys to Men program. Mm-hmm. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to try to just go with the same time. I said, so I'll say from Boys to Men. Okay. And so I created From Boys to Men, where I started going into the schools. Now I was going at one program at the point, and was just going in and doing I created a workshop, created a little training, and an agency up here called the Community Action Organization heard about me, and I knew the director. He came in, he sponsored me, and then we went from one program with about 25 boys to last year, just before the pandemic, we were up to 4 programs and over 100 boys. Wow. Yeah. And so that's where I am now, where I still do some real estate stuff because that's just in my blood. Right. But for the most part, I enjoy doing what I do with the young men, helping them to, become more self-aware, because self-esteem and self-awareness is the key. Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree. If they have no self-esteem and they're not aware of who they are, then the rest of it is not going to happen. Absolutely. Wow. Well, you clearly tell us something you're truly passionate about, and gives me a lot to unpack here. Let's go back to
just going back to when you mentioned as a young kid, just having that entrepreneurial spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that originally come from? Was it just something that was always a part of you, or?
Like I said, my grandmother used to always say to me, because like I said, growing up, I didn't have a father. My mom left my father when we were about 4 or 5 years old, abusive situation. And so from 4 or 5 years old up until 9 or 10, I had to take care. Basically, I was really buying my own school clothes. Wow. I had to get food. I went through a lot of things at
to grow up fast.
At a young age myself.
Yeah.
So I had to go out and figure out how to make money so I can get school clothes, I can get food, sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so I was selling fruit at a fruit stand. I would deliver newspapers, help my friend deliver newspapers. He would pay me. Go wash cars at a car lot. Right. I would do whatever I could.
You had to survive. Yeah.
There was always that hustle, that entrepreneurial spirit that was in me. But I always found that too. One of the things, and my mother said it to me, I don't know if she thought she was helping me or not, but she said to me, if you ever go to jail, I'm leaving you in there because of the people that I was hanging around.
Right.
And that's one of the things I tell my kids all the time. I said, surround yourself with better.
Right.
And when you tell them surround themselves with better, you also have to show them better.
Right. Yeah.
Because, the kids they're hanging around, they're doing the same thing. And that's what I was hanging around with, kids that were doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing. Yeah. And my mother said to me, if you go to jail, I'm not coming to get you out. So I had to find a hustle that would not have me go
legal.
To jail.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You want to stay in jail. Mom wasn't going to come get you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was my motivation to become the entrepreneur that I got into. I would always find some kind of way that I could do something making money. I mean, I used to draw pictures in the art class, man. It was so funny. I would draw pictures in the art class and we would make what they call string arts, where you put the nails in the board and make the strings.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a pretty good artist. Because like I said, when something I enjoyed doing, I would do it.
Right.
Once I would finish the drawing and get my grade, I'd take it and go sell it. And the teacher would say, well, where's your art project? Because we want to put it up on display.
Oh, that's so.
And I'm like, well, I gave it to my mother. I'd make up some story about what I gave it to. But hey, that was my hustle,
Yeah.
I had to find, it was always, how can I make money doing something? What can I do to make money?
Yeah, that's great.
And that's what we do in the For Boys to Men program. My goal is, I tell each young man, I'm going to show you 3 to 5 ways how to generate and create wealth for yourself, doing something based on your specialized skills. We all have specialized skills. Like I said, I could draw, I could do, and then I eventually, like I said, learn how to do carpentry and plumbing. And so when you have a skill, a specialized skill, whether it's singing, whatever your specialized skill is, I can show you 3 to 5 ways how you can make money doing that.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that makes my program special, is because again, self-awareness. When you help a kid to understand who they are and then showing them, okay, what are your specialized skills? What do you enjoy doing? If you could do it every day, what is it that you would do? You have a kid, I want to sing, I want to dance. And like even one kid's like, well, I want to be a football player. I said, but what if that doesn't work out? Let's see what you could do. I said, are you good? Yeah. Our team won the championship. What was your position? Running back. I said, so you think because people know you ran running back and y'all got the championship, do you think if you went to people in your community and said, hey, I want to do a training camp with some of the younger kids in my neighborhood, and I'm going to charge $25 and I'm going to do a 1-hour camp, do you think you can get people to come out? Yeah, because they all know me.
Wow.
I said, so see what I'm saying? So showing them how they can take whatever that skill is and make money out of it, and it creates something, a legal position, legal opportunity. Right. And that's what I started doing, was doing that program, showing, and I did that in the Boys to Men, and also did it in a program called Think and Grow Wealth, where I was teaching kids how to learn real estate, start their own business, and investing in the stock market.
Okay.
And so we, like I said, all my programs are generally centered around generating wealth. How teaching kids, because when you tell a kid, I'm going to show you how to make money.
Oh yeah, get their attention.
There you go. There you go. And I don't have to get in no trouble for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you how to, instead of buying a pair of Nikes, I'm going to show you how to buy Nike stock. Right. And then let Nike buy you some Nike.
Awesome. And I love how pretty much you challenge them to think outside the box.
There you go. And that's the whole thing. Yeah. Because that's my whole premise is, I don't sit and tell them what to do. I make them think about what it is they can do.
Right.
And then from what they say they can do and what they understand and what they feel, then we build on that. And in my program, I did tell you a quick story. I did a young lady, I was doing that Think and Grow Wealth program. And I said,
Okay.
I'm going to show you 3 to 5 ways. And so I went around the room asking kids, what do you like to do? Now I'll give them 2 or 3 ways how they can make money doing it. So a young lady, she tried to be smart. She said, well, my specialized skill is I love to sleep. and she caught me off guard. I said, excuse me? So I said, excuse me? She said, I like to sleep. She said, that's my specialized skill. And I had to stop for a second. I said, well, really? I said, well, let me explain to you. I said, at the University of Buffalo, they do sleep studies. And they pay people to come in and sleep.
Yeah, it's a way to make money doing anything.
A way to make money, doing something you enjoy doing.
Yeah,
and she was so surprised that I was actually able to come up with something on that. That she ended up being one of the best students in the class, because then she really did tell me what her specialized skill, what she enjoyed doing.
Right.
But she was testing me because she's like, okay, I got something, I got something for you.
She was gonna stump you.
Exactly. But like I told him, I said, you give me what you enjoy doing, your specialized skill, and you can have more than one skill. Right. I like to draw. I like to do this. I like to dance. I like to play football. Whatever the skills is, I like to play the piano. Whatever the skill is, I can show you 3 to 5 ways, no matter what it is, how to make money doing it. And that's what I do with these kids. So that keeps them motivated.
That is fantastic. Wow.
And it helps them understand who they are too, because I'm doing it based on who you are, not based on what I think.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And also something you said earlier, I think is really important, is just the initial relationship you had with your stepdad. I know I experienced that as well with a stepdad, and I'm sure a lot of young men go through the same experience.
Right.
Can you elaborate a little more on what your stepdad was able to do to bridge that gap to really help you get over that? Hey, you're not my dad, and like you say, he ended up becoming your best friend because he showed you something that how to make money. I guess you can just elaborate on that more and kind of maybe give tips to maybe those mothers who are bringing a stepfather into the picture, or maybe those stepdads who are struggling to connect with their stepchildren.
Right. And one of the things is, like I said, what he did with me was he didn't come in. Like I said, he came in. He never tried to take control. He just came in. But of course, I was already rebellious because this is my house. So what he did was, and that's what, because we work with parents also. We do a parent training and a caretaker training.
Okay.
And what we do is we show them that you have to get to know the child, not them get to know you. You have to know them. You have to find out what their likes, their dislikes, what they enjoy doing, where they, get them to talk to you, feel comfortable talking to you.
Right.
And then once they feel comfortable, once they break that bond, and that's what he did with me. He found what I enjoy, which was trying to make money.
Right.
So that was the connection. Once he made that connection, now I'm open to listening. Now I'm open to seeing, from his point of view, because now you got something that I want. You know that you're offering me something that's going to make me better, which was learning how to do this real estate. So you get to know the kid by creating that mutual understanding and bond and helping them to understand themselves. Don't let them understand you, because that's the thing. We want to come in, you're going to listen to me.
Right, dictate everything, yeah.
Right. So now you get more rebellion, you get more barriers because you're trying to force a situation versus letting that child get comfortable with you. Because you don't really know what he's been through until he starts to open up and feel comfortable with you.
Yeah, that's invaluable advice there, definitely.
Yeah. And the whole premise is getting the young man to feel comfortable with you, getting him to understand who he is. And that's what I have a book that I wrote prior to this book called No Dream is Impossible, the 4 W's to a Successful Life. Understanding who you are, where you're trying to go, what is it going to take for you to get there, and why are you willing to commit to it? And that was the program I was doing before Boys to Men. And what it does is it helps, again, who are you? Understanding who you are. And so you get a young man to understand who he is, And then, okay, now that you understand who you are, where are you trying to go with that? Where would you like to be in life?
Right.
Okay, now where you said where you want to go, what is it going to take for you to get there? Okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, whatever. And again, like you said, you're letting them tell you. You're not telling them what it's going to take to get there. And then the key is why. Why do you want to do that? So that way, if it doesn't work out, they're not just going to give up. Okay, because you're always going to take them back to the why. Well, why did you decide to do it in the first place? And then that why is going to motivate them to find a new what on how to get to where they're trying to go. They're not going to give up. They're going to say, okay, well, I need to do it differently. I need to do this. Or what else can you try to do that? Okay, I can do this. And so that what and that why is always that what may change up, but the why is never going to change, because why did you decide to do it in the first place?
Right. Yeah.
And so by doing that, like I said, but it all starts with understanding who you are. Who are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Great.
Yeah.
Now, so I know you mentioned you're from Boys and Men program, and now is that your latest book that you just wrote?
That's the latest. That's the one that I did. I was actually, like I said, I was working on another book called A Mother's Love. Like, I'm always writing, always thinking about stuff. But I was working on this book I was asked to do a training for women who were incarcerated that were coming out that have sons at home.
Okay.
So I was working on this 10-chapter book, and I was up to chapter 8, and I was just getting writer's block. And I was thinking about my Boys to Men program, and came up with the idea for the Success Journal. And the Success Journal is actually based on what we do in the program with the young men, understanding who you are. So the first section of the book is talking about your likes, your dislikes, what you like to do, where you want to go, what kind of music you like. So understanding who you are.
Right.
So it takes them through all that. And then there's journal pages where they can write notes and different things about that. Then we do nutritional, we do physical activity, in the book. So all the things that we do in the program is in the book. So it basically walks them through. So that way we do that weekly program, but now they have something at home to reinforce what we were doing with them.
Okay.
And that's how the journal came about. So we do Dress for Success. Then we do, like I said, we do financial. We always do financial stuff with them, because that's how we keep them so involved. We're always trying to show them how to generate money, how to make money, how to create a business, how to get in real estate, and not just buy real estate. Because a lot of times when you hear real estate, you think of buying a house.
Right.
But you have a kid that might like to paint. So you can get paid painting a house. Inside, outside, paint the porch.
Right.
If you're good with your hands, you can nail up some wood and frame and do drywall. So showing them that there's so many things that's available to them that they don't see and hear about, that they never thought about.
Yeah, I really love that about your program. I think that's one thing that definitely make it different than other programs, because a lot of programs focus on everything but making money. Yeah.
Exactly.
And with kids, especially kids growing up in the inner city, like the only time they really seeing people making money is a lot of time is the gangsters and the people hustling, doing illegal things, but that's catching their attention. They want to know how to make money, and you're really emphasizing on all the ways they can take what their specialized skills are and make it legally. So, wow,
and that's where the surround yourself with better comes in, where I've talked about earlier. So I bring in people who are carpenters, electricians,
right.
Not just the doctors and the lawyers. I bring in police officers. I bring in masons. I bring in fraternities. I do all that stuff, so I'm letting them see what's out there and letting those people talk to them.
Right.
So this way it's not just Mr. Price all the time. You're seeing, I'm surrounding you with better. So that way, when you see that better, you say, oh, I could do that. Or I like, I want to get to know him. I'm going to introduce myself. And that's another thing that we do in the program, Derek. We do public speaking.
Okay. Oh,
we do public speaking. That is one of our mandatory things. When you speak, you have to stand up, put your hands down. You're not fidgeting. You're not hands on the pocket. You're not leaning on the desk.
Eye contact.
Exactly. So we do those things with them. We're like I said, we do so many things with them in the program. Believe it or not, it started out as a 6-week program. Our program now in the schools before this pandemic hit was 20 weeks.
Okay.
So imagine you got these boys for 20 weeks, man.
And how long is the duration?
We go all the way to June.
Is it like how many hours per session?
1 hour a week.
1 hour. Okay.
1 hour a week for 20 weeks.
Okay.
Most of the programs were 20 weeks. We had one program that was in a high school, and it was supposed to have been 1 hour, but the boys didn't want to leave. So we end up actually doing, like, normally we do an hour and a half to almost 2 hours with them every week.
Wow.
Because they just didn't want to leave. And these were kids that, of course, a lot of times they give you the kids who are having the most problems.
Right.
And the fact that they did not want to, they were coming after school and staying for 2 hours, the administrators were like, what are y'all? They would come and sit in the room like, what are y'all doing in here?
That's your secret.
You got boys that don't even want to come to school.
Now they staying later.
That was one of the funny things there. We had a couple kids that were suspended and would come to school for the after school for the program. And they were like, no, y'all can't. But then they end up letting them stay because they were like, if this kid is willing to come, even when he's not supposed to be at school, we're going to let them come. So they would let them come in. And then when their suspension was up, then they come back regular school. But they would come once a week to that program until their suspension was up.
Wow. Yeah. Doing something right, obviously. For sure. Wow, that is awesome. Now, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier as well, where you mentioned that Black history is every day. What do you mean by that?
Well, like I said, I used to, seeing in the schools that they were talking about, like I said, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King.
All the dead.
All that kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, Black history is every day, not just in the month of February. But there was nothing showing that.
Right.
So I started writing for the local newspaper an article called This Week in Black History. And every week I would submit to the newspaper, a week of Black history events. And I would go and I would research and I would submit all this information to them once a week, every day of the week, showing Black history. So that's what Les was telling me. He said, well, why don't you write a book doing that? Because that's something that seems like you enjoy and it's easy for you to flow with.
Right.
And so I ended up writing the first edition of the book, and it had a lot of older history. It didn't have all current history. It had a lot of older history. It went back to slavery, but then it came up to like the 1960s, 70s, right around in there. This current book, and I'll have to I'll send you a copy of this too, actually, Derek.
Okay.
The title of the book is This Week in Black History from Kings to Presidents.
Okay. Wow.
Showing that we started out as kings. We didn't start out as slaves,
right,
which is what the schools tend to make you believe, that we started from slavery and then we became, Barack Obama and Nelson Mandela as presidents, from kings to presidents.
Right.
So that's how the title came about. And so on the cover, I have Nelson Mandela and Barack Obama surrounded by kings. And it's called This Week in Black History from Kings to President. And the book was published in 2013. That was the last edition I did, fourth edition. And I did all the way up to 2013 of history.
Okay.
So up until the day I sent it to the publisher, I was finding current history and things like that. So this way, and then there's lines in the book. So when I present in schools and I'll ask a kid, I'll say to get a kid interested, because of course they hear Black history, they don't really want to hear it. So I'll say, so when is your birthday? And they'll tell me their birthday, and I'll look in the book and tell them what happened on their birthday.
Ooh. And
then there's lines, like I said, under each event, there's lines under there. And they can write down their name, they can write down new events that happened in history. But then what the kids get their attention, well, let me look and see what my mother's birthday. Let me look at my brother's birthday. So now they're interested because they have something they're looking for, ownership.
Okay.
And so that's how I use it in the schools and with different youth programs, is getting kids interested in history. Then we have Black history games. I've created games in the book. I have Black inventors in the book. I have a whole section on Black inventions. So like I said, Black history is not just in the month of February, it's every day. And so every 366 days, because I even do leap year.
Leap year. Okay, leave out that leap year.
I do Black history events in the book, and I use that with the kids, Not like I said, not just, but most people, they always want to do it in February, but I do it throughout the year with them, and I carry it when I go to different presentations and talk to kids. Like I said, you never know where my workshops and presentations are going to go.
Got it. Wow, that's great. So how has your program had to adapt to virtual learning with COVID and everything?
Well, that's been, well, I'm not going to say a challenge. It's going to be a challenge because it's something new. We were always doing in person.
Right.
But I'm in talks right now with a couple school districts, not just here in New York State, but also in Ohio and Kentucky, some other places. And we're using the Success Journal, and we're going to do virtual workshops using the From Boys to Men and doing virtual trainings, not only for their kids, but I'm actually going to do something online where they can go on either YouTube or a Zoom training where the kids can come on and just participate. So I'm doing like a weekly event with that, but with certain school districts, I'm actually going to have a program set up for their district.
Got it. Okay.
So I'm in the process of that. So it's not, at first I was a little nervous when they were saying virtual, but because of the response I've been getting, and I think we talked earlier about just how our young men are going to be the ones that have the biggest issue with having to sit down and look at a screen.
Yeah.
Boys don't sit. Boys don't sit.
That's our strong suit.
Boys so getting them to focus that long of a time, especially for a full school day without a teacher or parents sitting there saying, sit down, do your work, sit down, do your work, is going to be very tough on a lot of our young men.
Right.
And so during the Boys to Men program, and with the way we do it, we're always doing activities with them. So these are activities that we could do in person or we could do virtually because they're the ones that's doing the activities.
God, that's great. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be just how it's been a great success in person. Yeah, it's going to transition over to online as well, virtually. So
it's been a blessing.
Fantastic. But the great thing about virtual, it just expands your reach. So
exactly.
Yeah, indeed.
Exactly. And that's one of the good things about it, being able to expand it where we're actually, my goal for this year, for 2020, 2021, is to get 10,000 success journals out and doing workshops.
Awesome.
And to get sponsors to sponsor those.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of lives transformed.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Yes.
Awesome. That is really cool.
And working with parents, that's the other thing, like I said, even with the success journals, because like I said, it's understanding who they are and then showing them where and what and all those kind of things. All that's in the journal, which is what we do. And so it helps the parents to be able to work, because if the parents are sitting down with them in that beginning of that journal, not only are the kid understanding who he is, the parents are also understanding who their kid is, because they're going to see him write down or talk about things that they didn't even know he was interested in, or feeling or thoughts,
Right. So identifying more ways they can connect and more.
Right. Create those bonds, creating that interaction with them, so that way they can help and grow together.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And going back to, you mentioned just how important self-esteem and self-confidence is, and they're giving us a lot of tips and strategies on how to build that. Is there anything else additional you want to share with parents as far as ways they can help their teens build that self-esteem and self-confidence?
The key is to get to know your child.
Okay.
Get to know that youth, that young man. Not, like I said, not forcing him to get to know you and accept you. You have to understand who they are. Once you understand who they are and get a feel for them and let them feel comfortable with you, then they're going to lower their barriers. They're going to lower their guards and feel comfortable sharing things that they may be going through, and thoughts they may be having. And then that's when you step in as the adult. You're not trying to be their best friend. And that's the other thing I tell parents all the time. You're not there to be their best friend.
Right.
A lot of times we want to be friends with our kids and hang out with them and do, but that's not, because then when it's time to set discipline.
Yeah, they need that leadership. And
it's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
It's going to be an issue. But you can still have a friendly relationship, but a authoritative relationship with your child. Indeed. Getting to know them, enjoying what they enjoy, but at the same time, setting some ground rules, setting some understandings about, okay, this is what you do and this is what you don't do. This is what I expect from you. And then you don't hear a parent saying later on in life, I can't control them. I can't get them to do anything.
Right. Yeah.
Because you allowed him to be your buddy, your friend, and let him run the house,
Right.
You actually allowed him to be the man of the house when he wasn't taking on a man's role.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's going to lead to trouble. No.
But then what they also do because of that, they go out and they look for a female in that same situation, someone who's going to mother him,
right?
That he can act like he's the father of the house, man of the house.
Not hold him accountable.
Exactly, not hold him accountable. He can be the man of the house, but she taking care of him.
Right.
So they're going to look for that replacement. Once mama say you got to get out, they looking for a replacement.
Exactly.
And so we have to stop that with our young men. We have to show them that being a man means more than just making babies or, laying up and controlling something. You have to get out and take that role. But what is your role? How are you going to fulfill that role?
Yeah.
That's all self-awareness, understanding who you are. And once you understand who you are, you start to develop your confidence in what you want to do in life.
Wow. Yeah. Absolutely. Wow, Willie, giving us a lot of great gems during this interview. I know you mentioned several of your books. Where can the listeners purchase your books?
Amazon.com is where you can go, or you can contact me at willieaprice@aol.com, and I'll do an autograph copy for you. I'll give you they can get on my PayPal. I can give them a PayPal link or Cash App link, and they can do that if they want to get an autograph copy. But You can also go to, like I said, Amazon and look up From Boys to Men Success Journal, or This Week in Black History, or No Dream is Impossible. Those three are my major books, and they're all on Amazon.com.
Wow. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Well, Willie, before we get ready to close out this interview, like I said, you're giving them so many gems and just those tips and strategies that parents can implement today. That's why I love just the practicality of it. But do you have any closing words of advice you want to leave the parents with?
Oh, man, just trust and believe in your child. I'd say that all the time, trust and believe, because the thing is, if you don't trust and believe in them, how can he trust and believe in himself, in your children?
Right.
You trust and believe in them and accept the fact that they can make some right decisions, some good decisions, once they understand what their role is or who they are, understanding who they are. They can do anything that they set their minds to, and they can show you that. But you have to trust and believe in them, and then eventually they'll start to trust and believe in you as their parent.
Yeah, great advice. Again, Willie, really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. Like I say, you're certainly making a big difference in these young men's lives, and helping them transition from boys to accountable men who are self-aware, that have just that self-awareness, and they're going to continue that cycle. So really, really inspired by what you're doing, and I know you're going to continue to do great things.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You've been listening to Mentor Select. Mentor Select. Parenting teens to be successful adults. Hosted by Darrich Phillips. Raising teenagers is hard. Understatement of the century. We get it. That's why Darrich interviews leading experts that work with teens, educators, counselors, mentors, and authors to give you practical tips, strategies, and resources that you can incorporate immediately to better connect and understand your teen. That's why we do the show. Be sure to share Mentor Select with other parents of teens. Follow us on social media at Mentor Select to stay up to date on the latest tips, strategies, and resources for parenting teens. Send your questions and comments to darrich@mentorselect.com. Tune in every Wednesday for new episodes. Till next time, this is Mentor Select.